A new 7.1 magnitude earthquake in Japan has spared the troubled Fukushima nuclear plant, but the impact of last month's devastating quake and tsunami on those reactors has sparked a debate on the future of nuclear power worldwide. Richard Lester heads MIT's Department of Nuclear Science and Engineering. He says the Fukushima crisis cannot be allowed to kill the use of this powerful energy source. He joins us right now from Cambridge, Massachusetts, as we continue our series on the energy equation. Professor Lester, great to have you here with us. Why do you say we kind of, despite what's happened and the terrible tragedies in Japan over their nuclear situation, that this is still nuclear energy, we can't ignore it?
Well, it clearly is a very, very serious situation, and it's going to be dicey for, some time to come. The plant operators there don't have the situation completely under control yet, and I think it's going to be a while before they can really say that they do. So this is an extremely serious situation. I've seen images that I never thought I'd see in a nuclear power plant of this type, and I really don't want to understate the gravity of what we've just experienced and what's likely to come.
So when we see
having said that,
let me just break in. When we see these pictures and when we realize this isn't the only 40-year-old nuclear power plant in operation, doesn't it give just so much momentum to anti-nuclear activists or anti-nuclear legislation?
Well, look, I think that there's going to be a period, it's already started, in which we have to look very hard at the events that happened at Fukushima. We don't know all of the details of those events yet, but we're going to have to study them very carefully and learn the lessons and, as appropriate, apply those lessons to our own nuclear power plants. So that's a process that's going to take some considerable time. We should be starting it right away, and we should be continuing and will be continuing to try to learn those lessons over the next several months and probably even years.
Professor Lester, one of the things, you wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and it really caught our attention. I mean, we could debate the safety issue forever, but what I want to do is kind of move on a little bit, because you make some points about, we're just kind of in the early stages of nuclear power development. It's hard to predict where it's going to go, but tell us, you're working there, you study this in and out. I mean, where do you think nuclear energy is going, and how much safer does it ultimately get, and how much cleaner, if you will?
Well, I think that we are still in the early stages of the nuclear energy story, and if we think ahead to the end of this century and think about where we are now, I think, a useful comparison is think about where we were in 1911 with the Model T Ford, and think about where we are today with a modern automobile. There's a huge difference, huge advances, and I think that even though I can't tell you precisely what those advances are going to be in the nuclear field, I do feel confident that 50, 100 years from now, we will have very different and probably much better nuclear power plants than we have today. And we're going to need them because we don't have the luxury of choosing among the energy sources that are available. We're going to need all of the low-carbon energy resources that we have and that we can develop, because if we don't develop and implement these advanced technologies, we're going to be facing extremely serious problems.
Can we, Professor Lester, let me ask you, because we're running out of time. I mean, what about, though, with dealing with the waste? And you do talk about some of the developments expected to come. I mean, with the waste specifically, can we get around this somehow so that it's safer?
I think we can. I think just as we can imagine advances in nuclear power reactor technology, we can also imagine advances in nuclear waste disposal technology. And indeed, there are some interesting ideas and concepts. Unfortunately, 25 years ago, the Congress told developers and researchers, stop doing research on advanced nuclear waste technology. We only want to look at Yucca Mountain.
Right.
That's what Congress said, and I think we have much more to do in that area.
Certainly sounds that way. Richard Lester, thank you so much from MIT. We appreciate your time this afternoon.
You're very welcome.